Get them off the boat. I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to today's episode. So I'm going to do something a little bit different today on this episode, and that's a viewer request. Don't do that too often. I do at times, but this one came out of the blue. I got a phone call today from a Dr. Alan Carreau in New Mexico, probably about as far from shipping as you can get. He wanted me to discuss this topic. Now, we cover all different sectors in shipping on here. We talk about Navy, we talk about military, we talk about containers, we talk about oil tankers, we talk about bulk carriers, you name it. But one of the sectors we do cover occasionally, but not a lot, is the cruise line industry, because there's a lot of cruise videos out there and YouTube channels that cover the cruise line. However, this one is important because it deals with an outbreak. Now, an outbreak on a cruise ship, not terribly new. This one is different. It deals with an outbreak of what's called Hantavirus on board a ship that is currently anchored off Cape Verde Island in the middle of the Atlantic. This is a critical issue because of the nature of the disease and the fact that Cape Verde is not allowing the passengers and crew to get off the vessel. It could lead to a disaster on board the ship. Now, this is not causing, a global pandemic or anything like that. Let's be clear about that for a second. This is an outbreak of a specific virus on board the ship. So let's break this down for you. This is a story over at G Captain from Reuters. Medics were working on Monday to evacuate 2 people with symptoms of the deadly Hantavirus after a suspected outbreak on a luxury cruise ship held off West Africa, carrying mainly British, American, and Spanish passengers. This is the real key point here. About 150 people are still stuck on the vessel after 3 people, a Dutch couple and a German national, died, and others fell ill, including a Briton who left the vessel and was being treated in South Africa, authorities added. Hantavirus, which can cause fatal respiratory illness, can be spread when particles from rodent droppings or urine become airborne. It does not transfer easily between humans. There's no specific drugs to treat the disease, so treatment focuses on supportive care, including putting patients on ventilators. The World Health Organization said the risk to the wider public was low and there was no need for panic or travel restrictions. But authorities in the island nation of Cape Verde said that they have not allowed the Dutch-flagged motor vessel Hondius to dock as a precaution. So to give you a perspective of this, there's a travel vlogger on board the ship, Jake Rosemarin. And Jake posted this Instagram video.
I normally wouldn't make a video like this, but I feel like I need to say something, so I wrote a few things down. I am currently on board the MV Hondius, and what's happening right now is very real for all of us here. We're not just a story. We're not just headlines. We're people. People with families, with lives, with people waiting for us at home. There's a lot of uncertainty, and that's the hardest part. All we want right now is to feel safe, to have clarity, and to get home. So if you're seeing coverage about this, just remember that there are real people behind it, and that this isn't something happening somewhere far away. It's happening to us right now. I'll share more when I can, but for now, I just ask for your kindness and understanding. Thank you.
So this is the ship in question here, 2019 Netherlands flag vessel, a very typical type ship you would see on these expeditions. Now it's operated by Oceanwide Expeditions, who kind of caters to this kind of high-end, very far away kind of voyages where you can go on board to very remote places. And as you can see here in marine traffic, it's pretty remote places they go to. They're operating off the very southern tip of South America, heading over to Antarctica and a series of islands in and around the region, the Falkland Islands, South Georgia, and then they were taking a run up north here, heading up, and they're hitting a whole batch of really small, out-of-the-way sandspit islands. I mean, the middle of nowhere. St. Helena, Ascension Island, and now here they are off the coast of Africa, off Cape Verde. And what has happened is an outbreak on board the ship. Now, this type of disease, they believe, is transmitted from rodents that come from South America. And this is a really important thing. Rodents on a ship is a serious matter. This is why you put rat guards on mooring lines so you don't get rats onto ships. This happens all the time. It's not just for show. Now, the Hondius had left Ushuaia in southern Argentina in March, according to the company's documentation. This was supposed to be a kind of a ranging Antarctic nature expedition. I mean, this costs you about $16,000 to $25,000. And while you may sit there and say, well, they get what they deserve, no one deserves what's happening to them right now. It traveled past mainland Antarctica, the Falklands, South Georgia, Nightingale Island, Tristan, St. Helena, and Ascension Islands before reaching Cape Verde on May 3rd. Now, South Africa's health department confirmed 2 of the dead were Dutch nationals. A 70-year-old man who died on St. Helena on April 11th, and his wife, 69, who died in South Africa after collapsing at OR Tambo International Airport. She was flown off at Ascension Island, along with a British man who's being treated in a private clinic in Johannesburg. The German victim on board the ship died on May 2nd. Now, according to a spokesman for the Netherlands National Institute for Public Health and Environment, when asked about the source for it, they said, quote, "You could imagine, for example, that rats on board the ship transmitted the virus. But another possibility is that during a stop somewhere in South America, people were infected, for instance, via mice and became ill that way." Some evidence of human-to-human transmission in the Andes virus, but that's significantly rare. The outbreak of Hantavirus, and I went over to the CDC's webpage about this and exactly what it is. I am a doctor of history, not a doctor of medicine. Hantaviruses are a family of viruses that can cause serious illness and death. The viruses cause disease like hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, HPS, and hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome. So if you look at the hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, the symptoms usually start to show 1 to 8 weeks after contact. It includes fatigue, fever, muscle aches. About half of the patients will experience headaches, dizziness, chills, abdominal problems like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal pains. About 38% of the people who develop the respiratory syndromes may die from this disease. On the hemorrhagic side, symptoms usually develop within 1 to 2 weeks. This includes intense headaches, back and abdominal pain, fever, chills, nausea, blurred vision. May also include flushing of the face, inflammation or redness of the eyes, or a rash. Later symptoms include low blood pressure, lack of blood flow, internal bleeding, acute kidney failure. There's about a 5 to 15% fatality. Now, the crucial issue here is if they were infected on the boat, then that disease is still sitting on the boat, and you have 150 people trapped on the friggin' boat that can get sick. The way to fix this is get the people off the friggin' boat, go in, fumigate the boat, whatever you have to do to defunk the boat of Hana fever so that it's safe on board. What you're creating here is a potential nightmare for the 150 people on board, passengers and crew. They need to get off. The problem is Cape Verde is not allowing them off, and this is a problem we see happening a lot around the world. Under the UN Convention of the Law of the Sea, under the Search and Rescue Convention, and per the International Maritime Organization, nations have to help vessels in distress. This ship should declare itself in distress. It is in the middle of an emergency. It is a medical emergency. You need to get the patients off. What Cape Verde is worried about is an outbreak of hantavirus. This can be controlled, masked, isolated, controlled. The treatment here is assist with breathing, IVs. This is it. The disease is originated on the ship. It is not probably this air-to-air spreading contact. And if it is, you keep the patients isolated for a period of time until you get away from this. Set up an area where you can house these people, put them ashore, and get them off the friggin' boat. I can't tell you how many times people and nations are refusing medical care for ships at sea. This happens a lot. We usually see this when ships have fires and hazardous material on board. Ships will not give ports of refuge because they don't want to bring that into their port. Cape Verde has this ship sitting off there, and they're going to send it off. They're going to send it up to Tenerife or maybe somewhere else. They're going to kind of hand off the problem here. In the meantime, people may be getting infected with this disease. and we could have more fatalities happening. So if you can do anything you know to get Cape Verde to help these people, then let's do that. This should be the International Maritime Organization. This should be the World Health Organization. I know WHO is having conversations about this right now, but leverage should be exerted by the British, the American, the Spanish embassies with their people on board to force Cape Verde and these other areas to provide assistance. This has got to be an all-hands affair when there are medical emergencies, and we do see these happen on ships all the time. So I wanted to put this video out there and make you aware of this. I'm not trying to scare you off a cruise in any means. I'm going on a cruise myself this summer, not meaning to scare you off. But again, this is a major concern. If this disease was brought on board by a passenger, or if somehow rats got onto this ship, which do happen, believe it or not, even on cruise ships, you're going to get rats. If they did get on board and they were able to infect crew members, then obviously efforts need to be done to isolate this. A cruise ship is a very tight packed place. Not a lot of room there to get people out. Recycling air, it's a big problem. What you need to do is set up an area where you can get these passengers off, you can screen them, you can monitor them, and then you can allow them to head back home. So anyway, I wanted to get this information out there because this is a news story that does happen from time to time, and we don't always get to cover it, and this is a time-sensitive, critical issue, and I want to get it out there for you. One of the things I always loved about being a mariner is that when there was an emergency and you needed to help someone, you put everything down and went to go help them. You diverted ships, you sailed, didn't matter the cost, didn't matter the issue. When somebody needed help at sea, you provided that assistance. And right now, Cape Verde, the United States, Great Britain, Spain, the Netherlands all need to be pitching in to help this situation for those 150 people on board. We need to be doing this every time there's a disaster at sea. Every time. It doesn't matter if it's a cruise ship where you're paying $25,000 on board, if it's a ferry that sinks off the coast of the Philippines, whether it's a fire on board a ship at sea. Always need to be providing assistance. And in this case, this is really a time critical one. Thank you for watching today. Appreciate everybody supporting the page, but please, if you can, send this to someone who you think can help or spread the news about what is happening. Until next episode of The Sal, signing off.